all. So in this video I will discuss regarding Python, and this is an introductory video. So let's get started. So Python is a high level language. So in the initial days there were binary languages, but they were extremely difficult to understand. But due to the advancement in technology, languages like Python were introduced. So it's a high level language, easy to interpret. It is basically used for website development, for data analysis and artificial intelligence. It is easy to read and write, and it is a very simple language. It is a very great language for beginners, but still it is used by professionals as well. The biggest reason why Python was extremely popular was because Python supports a lot of third-party libraries, and because of that you can build some complex application, you can write complex codes, and it is very easy to write those codes. First of all, we will start with basics of Python. So first of all, we will understand what variables are, what variable is. So in Python, variables are used to store data values. So think variable as a bucket. So a variable is created by assigning a value to a name. Here is an example of a variable. So bucket here is variable, and we have assigned a value 4 in it. So think of 4 is a water which is placed in a bucket. So here bucket is variable. So there are different data types of variables as well. So the first data type is integer. We have assigned the value 10, and a is the variable. So a equals to 10. The second variable we have kept here is floating variable because it is 3.14. So b equals to 3.14. The third one is the string variable. We have used double quote for a string variable. You can see here we have used double quote in it. And the fourth one is the boolean variable. Here we have entered the value true. There are certain properties of variables as well. So they can contain letters, uppercase or lowercase, digits and underscores. They cannot begin with a digit, so we cannot assign a variable and we cannot write a digit before that. Like for example, if I have written 6 bucket, then that is not the variable. We cannot assign that particular thing as a variable. They cannot contain spaces or special characters such as exclamation mark, at the rate, hash, dollar sign or percentage sign. Variable names are case sensitive. For example, if we write cricket, here C is the capital in this word. It is not same as cricket where C is not the capital. Now we will simply write a Python code in Jupyter notebooks. So let's get started. So here it is. Here A is the variable, and we'll enter value 5. So now we will see some basic examples of variable. So let's say A is equals to 5, and if we will run this, then we will get the output 5. If we want to see the data type of this variable, then the data type is integer. Let's say B is Dhoni, and if we want to run B, then we can see that the B is Dhoni. If we want to see the data type of this B, then we will able to see that it is a string. Now we will give the value C. Let's say C is 3.14, and if we will run C, and if we want to see the data type of C, then it is float, and let's say we write D equals to true, and if you want to see the data type of D, then it is a boolean. Okay, let's say x is equals to 10 and y is equals to 5. If you want to perform some basic arithmetic operation, then we can perform that just by simply calling the variable and not the number itself. So for example, x plus y, if I will call this, then they will automatically do the sum for me. Similarly, x multiplied by y will give me 50 and x divided by y will give me value of 2. So that's how we can perform some basic arithmetic and multiplication and subtraction and all those basic things with the help of the variable itself. So now we will discuss about data structures in Python. So let's begin. So we will begin with lists. So in Python, a list is a collection of items that are ordered, changeable, and allow duplicate values. Lists are one of the most commonly used data structures in Python. Here you can see one example of list. Players is our variable in which there are two elements. The square bracket is denoted by list. The first element is Sachin and the second element is Virat. So to access the elements in the list, you can use indexing. So indexing generally starts with 0. So if we will write player 0, then we will able to see Sachin, which is the first element. If we will write players 1, then we will able to see Virat. Indexing can also be done from right to left. So if we want to see element Virat, we have to write -1. If we want to see the element Sachin, then we have to write -2. In order to know the data type of the variable, we have to write type, and inside that we have to write the variable name. There are two more things that we can do, and there are many more we can do, but append and remove is something that you can do in lists. Players dot append, and if I will write Dhoni, then another element would be added in our players variable, players list. Players dot remove, and if I want to remove a particular element in this particular list, I can remove that as well by typing players dot remove. Here if we want to remove Virat, then we can remove it by simply pressing typing players dot remove, and inside that if we will write Virat, then Virat element will be removed from the list. So now we will create lists in Python. So in order to create a list, we will first of all write a variable. Let's say players is the variable, and we will write any four players. It can be a cricketer or anything. I will write cricketers here. So let's say Sachin, then Virat. So here are two players. We have created players as a list. Players is the variable. So whenever we are calling our variable, then these two values will be shown. So let's shift and enter, and we will write players here, Sachin and Virat. In order to know the data type of this particular variable, we will write type, and we will write players inside this brackets. Shift and enter. We can see here that it's a list. So now what more we can do with this lists? So now we will add some values in this players variable. So in order to do that, we will write players dot append. Let's say we are writing Dhoni as our new player. now if I will call this variable, then we can see here that there are uh, three elements in this particular list: Sachin, Virat, and Dhoni. Initially, there were only two. We can even remove a particular element from this list. So, in order to do that, we just need to write players.remove. Let's say we want to remove Virat. Shift and enter. And if I will call this variable, then we can see that now Virat is removed. So now we will see the second data structure, which is tuples. So let's begin. So in Python, a tuple is an ordered immutable sequence of elements. So list were mutable, but this is immutable. That means that we cannot add or remove an element once a tuple is created. Tuples are similar to list, but once a tuple is created, its element cannot be modified. Here are some example of tuple. So here is a basic example of tuple. Numbers equals to, now we can see it's not a square bracket, it's a rounded bracket. 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19 are elements of tuple. Now there are certain characteristics of tuple that you cannot add or remove elements in tuple, though you can combine tuples. So here is an example of it. Numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4, and numbers 2, 7, 9 and 10. We cannot add an element in numbers 1. If you want to add 2, 3, 4, and if you want to add another number which is 5 or 6, we cannot add those numbers, but we can combine two tuples. We can see here in numbers 3, numbers 1 plus numbers 2. If we see the numbers 3 output, it is 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, 10. So we can combine two tuples, but if we think on an individual standpoint, then we cannot add or remove a tuple in one particular tuple. If we want to convert a list into tuple, we can do that. We can see an example of it. So numbers 4 equals to 17, 18, 19. Numbers 5 equals to tuple, and simply we need to write numbers 4 inside the bracket, and numbers 5 will see the output, it is tuple. In order to see the data type of this numbers 5, we can simply type numbers 5 and it will be a tuple. So now we will create a basic tuple in Jupyter notebooks. So we will write numbers 1 equals to a rounded bracket. We will write certain numbers, let's say 4, 5, 6, 7, shift and enter. We will create another variable which is numbers 2. Inside we will write, let's say 8, 9, 10 and 11. Shift and enter. Now we know that we cannot add or remove an element, but we can combine both the tuples. So what we'll do, we will combine it. So I will write hashtag combine tuples. We will create another variable numbers 3. Now we will write numbers 1 plus numbers 2. So I have write double S here. Simply I need to remove that. Now I will write numbers 3. So here we can see that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So all the elements which were there in both the tuples were combined. Now we will see the data type of numbers 3. Shift and enter it. We can see here it's a tuple. Now we will create a list and we will convert that list into tuple. So let's say numbers 4, and let's say the numbers are 1, 2, and 3. Now we want to convert this into tuple. Numbers 5, we'll create another one, and here we will write tuple tuple, and inside this tuple we will write numbers 4. Shift and enter, and now we will simply write numbers 5. So you can see that it has converted it into tuple. So now we will see another data structure, that is dictionaries. So let's begin. So in Python, a dictionary is a data structure that allows you to store a collection of key value pairs. Each key in a dictionary is unique and you can use it to retrieve its corresponding value. To create a dictionary in Python, you can use the curly braces and separate each key value pair with the colon. So we can see here that there is an example here. So players is the variable and we have used the curly braces here. The first key is Virat and India here is the value. Similarly, we have now separated the first key and value element with the comma. Another one is root, then we have uses this colon, and then England, Gale, and WI, West Indies. So players, if we want to retrieve the value which is there inside the key, we will simply write players. We will use the square brackets, and inside that if we will write Virat, then the output would be India. What if we want to add an element in the dictionary? What if we want to add a key and value pair in the players variable dictionary? So we can do that by simply writing players, then square bracket. Here I have written Warner and equals to Australia. Here we will this would be our fourth key and value pair in this particular players variable. So this is how we can add an element in the dictionary. What if we want to see all the elements inside the players variable? So for that we will use a loop which is for loop. So we will simply write for key and value because we need both the keys. We need key and value both in, and what we want to see, what we want to check, we want to see the players variable, and dot items, we will use dot items so you can retrieve over both the keys and value using this dot item method. So this is extremely important, dot items, and we will use this brackets, and then we will simply use print key and value. So what this will do is it will give you all the values in this particular uh, loop. Whatever values are there, it will show all the values in the loop. We'll also see this in the Jupyter notebook, so let's check the same in the Jupyter notebook. So now we will see how we can create a dictionary in a Jupyter notebook. So for that we will simply write a variable name, that is players, equals to, now we will use here these curly braces, and inside that we will write Virat, which will be our key. Then we will write this semicolon, and inside that we will write India. So this is our first key and value pair. We will separate it with comma. Now we will write root, semicolon, and England. Then we will write Gale, WI, West Indies. Okay, and then we'll write shift and enter, and simply we'll write players. So here we can see that we are able to see all the key and value pairs in this particular dictionary, which is players. Now we will add an element in this players dictionary. So for that we will simply write players, then we will use square bracket, inside that we will write Warner, and we will use equals to sign. Here we will write Australia, simply we will write shift and enter. Okay, so here it should be players and not player, shift and enter. Simply will print this value. Now we are able to see Warner as our fourth element. Now what if we want to see all the elements was in this particular players tab? So for that we will run a for loop. So for key values in players dot items, print key and values, shift and enter. So here we have run a particular for loop in which we are able to see all the key and values inside this particular player step. So now we will see the next data structure, it is sets. So let's begin. So in Python, a set is an unordered collection of unique items. It is similar to a list, but with the main difference that sets cannot contain duplicate elements. Sets can be created by enclosing a comma separated sequence of elements within curly braces, or by using the built-in set function. Here are some examples of how to work with sets in Python. So we can see that we have created a cricketers variable in which we have used curly braces, and we can see there are five names. There are four names: Virat, Dhoni, Sachin, and Bumrah. So, and this is one way of creating a set. The another way of creating a set is uh, number one equals to set. Here we have used a rounded bracket first, and then inside that we have created a little list 1, 2, and 3. So this is also another way of creating a set. Now we can add a particular element in a set, or we can even remove an element in the set. So we can see there are two examples. Cricketer.add Gale will actually add an element in the cricketer variable, and cricketer.remove will remove a particular element from the variable. Now what we can do by working with two sets. So here we have created two sets, set 1 equals to 1 2 3 and set 2 equals to 3 4 5. We can perform union and intersection with them. So for set underscore union we have created another variable equals to set 1 dot union, and inside that uh, we have put in set 2. So it will see that both the sets have certain values 1 2 and 3 3 4 and 5. So 3 and 3 are common, so basically in union common values are not taken, so the output is 1 2 3 4 5. The another one is intersection. So set underscore intersection equals to set 1 dot intersection and set 2. We can see that the common values from both the sets are will show there in the output. So the value is 3, so in the output it will show 3. So now we will see sets in Python in Jupyter Notebook. So in order to create a new set, we will simply write cricketers here, and inside that we will use the curly braces. We will simply write the elements inside it, and shift and enter. We will write cricketers here, shift and enter. So we can see here Dhoni, Sachin and Virat are reflected here. Now we will see the data type of this particular element. So we can clearly see here that it's a set. Now we will add an element. So we can simply write cricketers dot add, and let's say we want to add Bumrah. So here we can see that Bumrah is added. Now we will perform some union and intersection in sets. So for that we will take two sets. So sets 1 1 2 and 3, shift and enter, and sets 2 3 4 and 5. Now we will perform a union first. So for that sets underscore union equals to sets 1 dot union, and inside that we will write sets 2, shift and enter. And if we will run this, okay, it's not the unions, it's union. So it will show you 1 2 3 4 and 5. Now we will perform one intersection. So sets underscore intersection equals to sets 1 dot intersection, and inside that we will write sets 2, shift and enter. And now we will write sets intersection. So we are able to see 3 here. So this is how you can use sets. And now we will see if statement, which are the conditional statements. So let's begin. So in Python, conditional statements are used to execute different blocks of code based on whether a condition is true or false. The most commonly used conditional statement in Python are if, elif, and else. Here is an example of how to use if statement in Python. So we will break down this particular block of code. So x is equals to 5. So we have given the variable x as the value 5. If x is greater than 0, here we can clearly see that x is greater than 0, it is 5. Then print x is positive. So if we will perform this block of code, then it will print as x is positive number. Now here is another example, x equals to minus 5. So now the value is minus 5. If x is greater than 0, then print x is positive. Here we clearly we can see that x isn't greater than 0. So this particular block of code won't be executed. So what Python interpreter will do, it will see the another block of code which is else. Else print x is a negative or 0 number. So here if we execute this particular code, then it will print x is a negative number or a 0. Here is another example, x is equals to 0. So if x is greater than 0, print x is positive. And if x is smaller than 0, print x is negative. Else print x is 0. So here the first block of code x is positive won't be executed because x is 0. The second block of code elif, it won't be executed because x is 0. So it won't be executed. So here what Python interpreter will do, the first two block of code won't be executed, but the third block of code which is else statement, print x is 0, that would be executed. Here we have another example. Here we have kept two variables, x is equals to 5 and y equals to 10. If x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0, then print x and y are both positive numbers. So here the first block of code will be executed because we can clearly see that x is equals to 5 and y is equals to 10. So first block of code will be executed. The rest two block of code, elif and else statement, they won't be executed. But what if we keep x is 5 and y equals to minus 10? So here the first block of code won't be executed, but the second block of code where we have kept or in between x and y, that particular block of code would be executed. So here it will print at least one of x and y is a positive number. Now third thing that we can do is uh, we can keep x equals to minus y and y equals to minus 10. We can keep both the statement negative. In that case, the first two block of code, if and elif statement, won't be executed. The only block of code that would be executed would be the else statement. Else print neither x nor y is positive number. Here is another example of if statement. So user underscore input is the variable that we have assigned, equals to input, enter a color. So here we can manually type the color. It can be red or it can be blue or any other color. So what this particular Python interpreter will do, it will see whether the number is red or not. So here we have passed in the block of code, if user underscore input dot lower. So if red is written in an uppercase, then it will automatically convert it into lowercase, equals to red. Print your favorite color is red, else print your favorite color is not red. So if you will write red, then the first block of code will be executed, and if we enter any other letters other than red, then it will print your favorite color is not red. So here in Jupyter notebooks, I have already written the block of code here. So let's see the first block of code, x equals to 5. If x is greater than 5, print x is greater than 5. So if we will write shift and enter, then it will show us the x is greater than 0 value. So what if I am writing here let's say 10, then also it will show the same number. But what if I am writing here -5? Then it won't execute any block of code because we haven't entered any else statement. So it won't execute any block of code here. It will directly uh, come into the next cell. Here I have written y equals to -5. If y is greater than 0, then print y is a positive number, else print y is a negative number. So y here is -5, which is negative number. So that's why it will throw this particular output, y is a negative number. But what if I change this number to, let's say, 5? And now I will do shift and enter. So y is a positive number. We can see that the negative word has gone and now here it is written as positive number. So here, first of all, this particular first block of code wasn't executed, was executed, and so this block of code wasn't executed. Here both are negative numbers. So if z is greater than 0 and a is greater than 0, then print both are a positive number. Here we have written elif statement, elif z is greater than 0 or a is greater than 0. Let's say we change these numbers. Let's say the first number is 4 and the second number is, let's say, 5. And if we will run this code, then z and a are both positive. The first block of code was executed. Let's say we remove this particular code and write -4. So here the first block of code won't be executed. Z is greater than 0 and a is also greater than the 0. If both the conditions are met, then and then only the first block of code will be executed. Here we have given the second statement elif, where z is greater than 0 or a is greater than 0. Here we are using or. So if either of the one will be executed, then this entire block of code will be executed. So here we can see that z is a positive number, it is greater than 0. So the second block of code will be executed. So let's see, either z or a is a positive number. If both are negative, then both will show negative numbers. User underscore input equals to input, enter your favorite cricketer. So if user underscore input dot lower, we have used this lower method, equals to Virat, then we have used colon here, print your favorite cricketer is Virat. So let's say we run this particular code, and if I will type here Virat, then it will show that your favorite player is Virat. Let's again run this code, and let's say type any other cricketer name. Let's say we are typing Rohit. Your favorite cricketer player is not Virat. So the second block of code was executed here. So now we will see loops in Python. So let's begin. So there are two types of loops, for loop and while loop. So first of all, we will start with for loop. A for loop is used to iterate over a sequence such as a list, tuple or string and execute a block of code of each element in the sequence. So here is a general statement which I have written here. So we will write in this way: for, then we will give the name of the element in the sequence, the variable that we are assigning. So it will take each and every value which is there inside the variable. Then we will write print element. So here is a quick example. Cricketers is the variable, equals to, inside that there are elements. The first element is Virat, the second one is Sachin, and the third element is Dhoni. So for cricketer in cricketers, so cricketer here is the element, each and every element is cricketer. In cricketers, here is the variable print cricketer. Print cricketer will actually give us the output of Virat, Sachin and Dhoni. Here is another example of for loop. For I in range 5, so it will take the range of 5 elements, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have simply written print I. So here I is the element are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. In range, the range is till 5. So this there is another example as well. Cricketers equals to Sachin, Dhoni, Virat. Now I have assigned a rank here. Here it should be a square bracket, so I have done a mistake here. Rank equals to 1, 2, 3. Here it should be a square bracket. For cricketer means we are taking the individual element inside this. So cricketer. Now I have used a comma and ranking in zip. So we want to access both the elements, so I will use zip, and there is a rounded bracket. Here we are writing variables. So cricketers is the variable and rank is the variable, and we'll print the elements, right? So print cricketer and ranking. So it will give us this output. Sachin first rank, Dhoni second rank, Virat third rank. Here is another example. So here we will also use the conditional statement along with for. So here there is a text equals to hello world, and count equals to 0. Here we have assigned two variables. Now we will use the for loop. For char character in, here text is here the variable text. Now we will use if conditional statement. If char means character, now we are accessing each and every letter which is there inside the text variable. So for character in A, E, I, O, U. So if we are getting A, E, I, O, U in this hello world, what we will do? Count plus equals to 1. So we will count that and we will add it with 1. So for example, first of all, here it is H, so there won't be any change. E, so it is a vowel, so 1. O is also a vowel, and here O is also a vowel, so it will count 1 plus 1 plus 1, and the output will be 3. So we are writing print number of vowels, so output will be number of vowels colon 3. So now we will see the following examples in the Jupyter notebooks. So here are the examples of for loop in the Jupyter notebooks. So first of all, we have written cricketers equals to Sachin, Virat and Dhoni. So these are the three elements in the cricketers. For cricketer, in cricketers, so cricketers is the variable here. Cricketer means we want to access the variable elements inside this particular variable. Print cricketer will give us Sachin, Virat and Dhoni. For I in range, that is 10, here I have written 10. So if I will remove here and if I will write 4, then it will give us 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3. For I in range, so I here is item, we are getting each and every element in range 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3. That's what we are getting an excess of. So print I, so it will simply print 0, 1, 2, 3. Another example here is cricketers equals to Sachin, Dhoni, Virat. Rank equals to 1, 2, 3. For cricketer ranking, so cricketer will actually access each and every cricketer which is there inside this particular cricketers tab, and ranking will show us the ranking, the rank. So ranking in zip, we are using zip here, cricketers and rank, print cricketer and ranking, so it will give us this. Text equals to hello world, this is our first variable. Count equals to 0. For character in text, so we are accessing each and every letter in this particular text variable. If now we are also using conditional statement, if character in AEIOU. So now each and every character are there. If there is AEIOU in this particular hello world text, then count plus equals to 1. So now we will add them. So E, O and O, these are the three letters inside this. So it will count us with 3. So if I am changing it and if I am writing double O, and if I run it again, it will show 4. So you can see that now it is written as 4. The number of vowels in the text are 4. So now we will begin with while loop. So let's begin. A while loop in Python allows you to repeatedly execute a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. Here is an example of a while loop in Python. So here is an example. I equals to 1 while I is smaller than equals to 5, print I plus equals to 1. So here I should be smaller than equals to 5 and I plus equals to 1. Here it will first of all show the first number and then the second number, then third, fourth, unless and until this condition is not met, it will show all the numbers. So here the number is 5, so it will show us the output 1 2 3 4 5. Here it is extremely important to write I plus equals to 1. If we won't write this, then we will get multiple occurrences of 1 and the system will throw an error. It won't throw an error, but multiple 1 will be shown in the output. So it is extremely important to write this particular line of code I plus equals to 1. Here is another example. Sum equals to 0, I equals to 1. So we know that we will begin with 1. While I is smaller than equals to 10, and here we have written I plus equals to 1. So it will initially take 1, then 2, then 3 and 4 and 5 and it will go up to 10. Here we have kept another condition, sum plus equals to I, means whatever the number would be till 10 we will add them. So this particular line actually says that. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 till number 10. We have written here print sum of the numbers from 1 to 10 is, and we have written sum here. So this would be the output. Sum of the number from 1 to 10 is 55. Here is another example. Now this example is of a factorial. N equals to, we have put this data type as an integer and we have written here input, enter a number. So it can be any number, 5 or 10 or 15 or any number. It is applicable to any of the numbers. Fact equals to 1, so we know that it will begin with 1. I is equals to 1 while I is smaller than equals to n. N we know that the number that we have typed here, that will be the number. So let's say it is a 5 and here we have given the value I plus equals to 1. So what it will do, it will go till 5. So 1 2 3 4 and 5, it will go till 5. Here we have given a condition of factorial, fact multiply by equals to I. So what it will do, 1 multiply by 2 multiply by 3 multiply by 4 multiply by 5. So that's what it will do. Print factorial of, and then we have kept here n. So let's say in this given example we have written 5, so 5 would be here is, and whatever the factorial would be, answer would be 120. So that will be reflected here in the output. What is the difference between while loop and for loop? So here we first of all will begin with for loop. So sum equals to 0 for I in range 1 from 11, sum plus equals to I, and we just simply have to write this particular code and it will give you 55. If we want to execute the same thing, we will uh, we will just add this one particular line of code, that is I plus equals to 1, and it will give us the uh, same output. So this is the only difference between both of them, that in this example we use the while loop to increment the value of I until it reaches 10 and calculate the sum of the first 10 positive integers. So basically this is the only difference. We have written one uh, additional line of code, and in the for loop we haven't written that additional line of code because it automatically takes the number which is there in the range. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, it automatically takes those numbers, and here it is not taking those numbers. Uh, we have to write this particular block of code, and so that it will take 1 2 3 4, and it will take those numbers until this condition is not met. So this is the only basic difference between while loop and for loop. So here is another example of while loop and for loop. For example, let's say you have a bag of 10 marbles. With a for loop, you would take out one marble at a time and count it until you have counted all the 10 marbles. So that's what happens in a for loop. While with a while loop, you would keep playing with the toy until you get bored, and you might play with the toys 10 times, or you might play it more or less than 10 times, depending upon how long you stay interested. So we can in while loop we can give certain instructions, and those unless and until those conditions are not met, the loop is still running. So that's the only difference between the while loop and the for loop. So now we will see while loop in Jupyter notebooks. So here I equals to 1, while I is smaller than equals to 5, print I and I plus 1. If we will write this block of code, then it will give you 1 2 3 4 and 5. So let's say I'm changing this number from 5 to 10. So let's see, it will show us the 10 numbers. If I'm changing this number from, let's say, 3, and if I will do shift and enter, then it will begin with 3. If I'm changing this number, I'm writing 2 here, and if I will do shift and enter, it will show us 3 5 7 and 9. Now we will see the another block of code. Sum equals to 0, I equals to 1, while I is smaller than equals to 10, I plus equals to 1 we have written here. So it will go till 1 2 3 4 5 till 10, and we have given this condition sum plus equals to 1, so it will do 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. So here we can see that if we'll add all of them, then the number is 55. So let's say we will change this number. Let's say if I'm writing 5 here, then the number is 15, and that's how you can play around with this. And here is the third example. N equals to integer, and we have to input a particular number, enter a number. Factorial equals to 1 and I equals to 1, so these values will begin with 1, while I is smaller than equals to n. I here, this is the I is smaller than equals to n, whatever the number we put in here. So let's say it is 5, and here we have given the condition I plus equals to 1, so it will increment it by 1. So 1 2 3 4 till whatever the number we have written here. Factorial multiply equals to, so whatever the number would be, it will multiply those numbers. So let's execute this particular code, enter a number. So let's say we are entering 15 here, and if I will press enter, then it will show the factorial of 15. Similarly, let's do the factorial of 5. It will show 120. Now we will look into the functions in Python. So let's begin. So in Python, a function is a block of organized and reusable code that perform a specific task. Functions are used to modularize code, make it more organized and easier to understand and maintain. To define a function in Python, you can use a def keyword followed by the function name and set of parentheses like this. So here we have used this def function, and the def function means you are defining a particular function. So whenever I will write, now here I have written cricketer and I have used this bracket and colon. Whatever is there in this body of this function, it will be executed when I will call my function, which is cricketer here. So def cricketer and print Dhoni. So if I will write cricketer and if I will open this parenthesis, then the output would be Dhoni. Here is another example, def add numbers a and b. So here we have given two values, return a plus b. So here we have said here that we have to return whichever the value we will write here, we will return it by adding those values. So result equals to add number. So we are calling our function here, and we are writing instead of a and b, we are writing 2 and 3 here. So if I will run this result variable, then it will show us the value 5. Here is another example here. So here we are going to calculate the batting average. So here first of all we have defined a function here. So def calculate underscore batting underscore average runs and outs. Here we will give an if conditional statement. So if outs equals to 0, so if a particular cricketer is not out, then definitely there isn't any average, so batting average equals to not applicable. Else, so if here the outs are greater than 1, then it will perform this else statement, and we have written here batting underscore average equals to runs, whatever the runs are. So let's say 150 are the runs and the particular player is out for 3 times, then the batting average will be 50. So that's what we want to perform. So we will divide it simply by the number of outs. So return batting average, that's what we need to get. So return batting average output. So if I will calculate underscore batting average underscore average, if I'll call this particular function and if I will uh, give 15 and 3 inside this bracket, it will run this entire code. First of all, it will see that how many times a person is out. So 0, no, here it is 3, so it won't run this block of code, but it will run this block of code. Here it will be 3 and here it will be 15, so the answer will be 5 here. So now we will see def function in Jupyter notebooks using Python interpreter. So first of all, we will write def cricketers and we will open the rounded brackets, print Dhoni. So if I will call this particular function, it will automatically print Dhoni. It will run all the block of code which is inside this function. Here we have written another code, def add numbers a and b, return a plus b, sum equals to add numbers 5 and 3, and if I will call this sum, then it will give me the value 8. So here this is the particular code. This code will be performed here. So instead of plus, if I will right here multiplication, and now if I will run this code, then it will show 15. So we can see here that the value is 15. Now here it is another example. Define calculate batting average, runs and outs. Here we have used a conditional statement inside this define function. So if outs equals to 0, then batting average is not applicable, else batting average equals to runs and outs. Return batting average, we have to we want this batting average. Runs divided by outs is what we will get. So calculate batting average. Runs 150 is the runs. 3 here are number of times the batsman is out, and here the value is 50. So if I will change this value from, let's say, 100 and 106, and if I will shift and enter, then this particular number will be changed. If the batsman is out for more than once, let's say he is out for 6 times, then the value is 17. So if the value, let's say if the value is 0, so here the first block of code is executed. So batting average is not applicable if the particular batsman is not out. If he is out once, then the value would be 106. So this is how we can calculate a batting average using the def function, and inside that we are adding some conditional statements.